Y'all scream and holler about this show doesn't need Quad anymore. But these past few episodes without her have been a flop. So, what's the truth?
She just let me know, but they show no fish. Didn't say you found it, but she's still gonna hold on. Didn't say you found it, but she doesn't want.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Bonnie Scotch. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I wanted to bring you a review for Married to Medicine. This is season 10, episode 8. Now, before I get into this video, I wanted to wish you all a happy new year. I'm so happy to be in a new year, in a new time and space, and in a new era with you all. And I'm just really excited that Bravo shows are back, because those 2 weeks during the Christmas break, the holiday break, was killing me. I wanted to come down here so badly and gossip with you all, but we here now, and that's what matters. So go ahead and hit the like button for me before I start the review. Hitting the like button is not only a free way to show support to my channel, but it also lets YouTube know that I'm here and that y'all are rocking with my commentary. So YouTube starts shooting my content out to an audience who ordinarily would not get exposure to my channel. So let's go ahead and get into it. You know I need my glasses. Okay, so we start this episode with Jackie and Heavenly at breakfast. Heavenly makes a comment that this group elevated Toya. She's asking Jackie if she thinks the same can happen with Letitia. Now, Heavenly, the group has elevated all of you. Let's not act like this TV show has not elevated the lifestyle of everybody who has been involved. Also, I noticed that they were talking about Quad once again and how she got voted off the island, and Jackie saying how she did it to herself. Like, it seems like y'all can't let this go and that y'all are really pressed, and at every turn y'all are gonna bring Quad up, and she comes up again later on in the episode. But it's like, obviously you miss her. Obviously you know that she's good for the show. Otherwise her name wouldn't be continuously coming up. And let's not act like Dr. Jackie ever saw it for Quad, because we know that she didn't. From the beginning, they were giving Quad a hard time and acting like she was this country bumpkin who wasn't ish. So anyway, then we get a flashback from 10 years ago when Jackie was being a pompous, fat-phobic jerk towards a woman that was in a beauty pageant. She told Heavenly that she was a doctor and Heavenly was a dentist when Heavenly defended the lady. So we've seen the history of Jackie being an a-hole in different situations. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but Jackie was under fire recently within the last few weeks for an old clip resurfacing of her saying that black women are dramatic and that they cry wolf when they're pregnant just because they want to get time off from work. So we've been seeing over the span of the past 10 years, that she's always been a pompous a-hole, and that these comments are not just like coming out of nowhere. This is Jackie's history. This is what we've seen of her. This is what we can expect from Jackie. So the women split up into two groups for separate activities. Half of the women are going to go in a ride in a tuk-tuk, where they ride through the vineyard and kind of, see different animals and see the sights. And they're going to have like a cute little lunch. And then the rest of the women are going to have a spa day, like kind of like a mud bath situation. Letitia, Heavenly, and Jackie are partaking in wine and charcuterie. Letitia says she used to call charcuterie a coochie board, but the thing is that I don't feel like she fully explained the joke. So over the last few years, people on Twitter have been jokingly calling charcuterie boards a charcuterie board. And I feel like if Letitia did a better job of explaining the joke, she would have been able to pull Jackie and Heavenly in just a little bit more. You know that Jackie always has her ass up on her shoulders, so I feel like you have to present things with a little bit more context so that she can be in on the joke. One thing that I don't appreciate is, well, first of all, Jackie, she's always like acting like her ass weighs a ton, and she has this very elitist attitude. And she was like, oh, don't start that. We're having a nice time, and this is the closest you two will ever get to heaven. And it's like, why do you talk like that to people? Like, I just wouldn't be able to stomach Jackie. But the thing about Letitia that gets on my nerves is that she's always talking about how these women are old ladies and they're her grandma's age. Well, if they're your grandma's age, then Gregory is your grandpa's age. He could be your grandpa. It's a tired, late, and lazy read to call somebody old. I don't know, like calling somebody old just because they were born before you, what's the big deal? I have friends who are in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, people that I met through work, people that I met through other people. And if you rock with a person, you rock with them, period. My mom is in her 50s, right? And a lot of the times I find myself having to explain to her internet jokes, Twitter jokes, and different things like that so that I can give her context and pull her into the conversation and kind of bridge the gap between the generations. And once I explain things, she thinks it's funny. She gets, she thinks it's a key. She gets a chuckle out of it. So I just don't get why you're constantly calling these women old and writing them about their age. All you have to do is explain the joke. It was a stupid Twitter joke. Just explain it to the women. We have a scene with Cecil and Eugene linking up for cigars. At the same time, we see Alicia discussing how misogynistic and disgusting her man is, okay? So we kind of have this side-by-side kind of scene. One thing I never understood is why it is women always want to jump up to tell us how trash and misogynistic their man is. You married him. And you had kids by him. So what are we supposed to do with this information? Why are you telling us? And then you want to say how your mom raised you to not need a man. She was a very independent single woman. And now you are trying to fit yourself into this submissive mold for this man. For what reason? What is the reason? Please tell me the reason.
What was the reason? What was the reason? What was the reason?
And why a man needs to be a leader simply because he has a penis. You've been leading yourself for your whole adult life, and then all of a sudden you meet a man and he becomes your leader. Anyway, so we get a flashback to a scene where Alicia and Kemma are talking in the kitchen and the baby has food all over his face, and Kemma is telling Alicia, you need to clean his face. And this house is a pigsty. Nigga, why don't you get a napkin and clean his face? Why don't you pick some shit up off of the floor? Straighten up. Go grab a mop. Go grab a broom. Grab a Swiffer. Grab a vacuum. Instead of telling her what to do. I can't stand a man like that. We flash to Eugene and Cecil talking about Kemma. They're talking about how ridiculous he is. They flash to a scene where Kemma is saying in so many words, I'm a man, so I work. I'm actually working and you're at home. You should be happy at home with your kids. Your kids? Didn't you lay down with these women so that she could have these kids that are y'all's kids? How they get to be her kids and her alone? It's that language that you really have to listen for when men are speaking about domestic labor, when they're speaking about their children and calling them your children. Because essentially, we've seen this time and time again, men will pick up and just leave and leave you with the baby. So a lot of the times when women embark on pregnancy and motherhood, you have to be prepared to be a single parent, because a man will just leave you and be like, oh, those are your kids. Them's your kids. Right? And that's what it's giving. It's the energy of like, he can pick up and just leave at any time. And I don't like that. And my thing is, men are always talking about how they work so much harder than women at their jobs. If domestic labor was so easy, why don't more of y'all do it? If domestic labor is so easy, why couldn't Alicia go on vacation for a few days without the nigga calling her to be like, oh, I have a newfound respect for you? So that means that it's not that easy, right? Domestic labor is still labor. I don't have kids, so I thought I would look up the cost of daycare, and here's what I found. If you are a parent in Maryland, you may be wondering how much your child care will cost. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the average annual cost of infant care in Maryland is $15,335. That is $1,278 per month, and child care for a 4-year-old costs $10,254 or $855 a month. $1,200 per child for a month. Like, depending on where you stand in your finances, that could be a lot of money. Shoot, it would be a lot of money for me. Okay? It's important to keep in mind that these are just averages, and the actual cost of childcare can vary depending on several factors, including location, the type of childcare, and age of the child. For example, infant care tends to be more expensive than care for older children. So daycare costs anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 per child, probably more. And men want you to think that being a stay-at-home mom is not work. So imagine dealing with the kids, having to find the time to cook, having to make sure that the house is clean, and then a nigga comes home to tell you that you're not doing anything, and he expects a hot meal ready and waiting for him. I personally would not be able to be with a man who doesn't put in his weight in terms of the domestic labor. I'm not nobody's maid.
Hey, maid. I see you got on your maid outfit like you always do.
Eugene, in his confessional, said that he thinks Kemah is barbaric. Now, y'all know that Eugene is my favorite husband on this show. He's probably my favorite husband on reality TV, period. But he be clocking the bullshit, so shout out to Eugene. Cecil made a comment saying that Kemah is from Nigeria, but he grew up in Jamaica, so there's actually more of a push towards male dominance and a woman being in her place. Now, I'm going to go ahead and correct you on something, Cecil. I'm not Nigerian, so I can't really speak to Nigerian culture, but I do come from a Caribbean household. My family is from Barbados and Trinidad, even though I have grown up around Guyanese people because my little sister's father, we have different fathers. Her father's from Guyana, and also my mom's ex-husband is from Guyana, right? So I have grown up around enough Caribbean men to see how they move. I can speak on Caribbean men. You are more likely to find a submissive Caribbean man than you are to deal with a submissive African American man, or, you know, a man who's from America. That's just in my experience. A Caribbean man, not only does he know how to cook, but he knows how to clean, and he will clean your house well. You will come home to a clean house and cooked food. Okay? Now, they may be ain't shit in a whole lot of other regards. I think that we're always going to deal with a tinge of patriarchy because we are dealing with men, but I think you're more likely to find a submissive man in a Caribbean man, and that's just in my experience, period. So I can't speak to the Nigerians. I don't really know how they get down. I've never dated a Nigerian man, so I have no idea. But from what I hear, I don't want that kind of smoke in my life. The women are asking Phaedra about marriage, and she says she doesn't want a situation with labels. Simone says, well, what about when the boys leave the house? Yeah, what about when the boys leave the house, Simone? Like, do women not have friends and hobbies and other interests outside of men? I don't understand this question. What did Whoopi Goldberg say? That she don't want some man in her house? So my thing is that everyone doesn't equate happiness to having a man around. A lot of people don't necessarily hinge their worth or their happiness to having a man in the house. That's what y'all do, not y'all. That's what a lot of women do, okay? They feel as though if they have a man, then their world is complete. Meanwhile, the man is running them raggedy. People who find that they need a man to complete them or to give them a sense of happiness, what happens when the man leaves you? Is your happiness going to walk out of the door with him? Then Toya pipes up to say, But don't you want to show your boys that marriage can work? What about showing them how to be respectful, kind, and polite gentlemen, Toya? So Phaedra should get married solely for the purpose of showing her boys that marriage can work? What about her desires and her wants? And what if the boys don't care about marriage? Like, I just feel like y'all hinge a lot onto kids and project a lot onto children that don't have nothing to do with them. I don't even think that kids give a fuck about, oh, my parents had a great marriage. Like, Toya, we've heard your boys speak up and say, oh, why are y'all always arguing? Why are y'all always yelling? I don't think that kids care about marriage. Kids want to be loved. Kids want to be seen. Kids want you to show up for them. The thing about children is that they need to have healthy examples of what love looks like in their lives. It could be aunt and uncle. It could be grandma and grandpa. It could be their aunt who has the roommate, who is always, around at the holidays, right? They just need healthy examples of love, not violence, not constantly yelling, not your nervous system is always in shambles because people are always yelling and taking their voices up to the highest octave that they can possibly go. Just because your parents are married and they stay together doesn't mean that they have a healthy relationship, doesn't mean they had a successful relationship. People think that longevity in marriages means that it was successful. Meanwhile, they be busting each other upside the heads in the house. That's not a healthy relationship for a child to grow up and see. So I just don't understand this logic, but I feel like I'm expecting a lot out of Toya, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Toya asked Phaedra, what do the boys know about their dad? And Phaedra told her that the children read and that they be down on Google, essentially. Toya says to Phaedra, I usually answer questions before they ask. And Phaedra said, that's good for you and your household. I said, I know that's right. Mind your own household, mind your own children. What I do with my children is what I do. Toya puts together a dinner where she asks the women to dress in a color that represents their favorite wine. I thought that was a cute idea. I think I would have worn something pink or sparkly or something that was kind of like a golden champagne color. I actually have a dress that I wore on my 36th birthday that was kind of like this champagne gold color. And, I'm about to play that clip. I personally love rosé, I love Prosecco, I love Riesling, and I love a Shiraz. Oh, and I love a white Zinfandel. Those are my favorite wines. Jackie asked the women if they feel good about everything that went down over the weekend. So, of course, they start discussing Quad once again. And it's like an obsession. Quad has been gone for the past 2 episodes, and y'all are still talking about her. Y'all are still pressed. She's all up in y'all minds.
I'm embedded in your brain, bitch. I'm embedded in your motherfucking brain, bitch.
She takes up a lot of real estate in y'all's heads and conversations, and once again, it's just giving press, but that's my opinion. Jackie said, it costs you nothing to be good to everybody. Jackie, according to the people, you're not even applying that same logic with your own patients. Were you good to them? You had patients jumping out the woodwork to tell us what an awful doctor you were in light of your insensitive remarks about black women crying wolf and being dramatic during pregnancy. And can I just say one more thing about that statement? Pregnancy and motherhood, but pregnancy more specifically, seems to be a very dramatic time. You are growing a human inside of your body. Arms, legs, teeth, bones, heart, lungs, all kinds of organs. It's a dramatic time in a woman's life, right? This is the closest a woman comes to being 1 foot in the grave. So if women want to be a little bit dramatic during pregnancy, I feel like that's their Pennsylvania privilege. Pregnancies are dramatic. I just think it was such a stupid comment. Jackie says if you want your friendship to work, own it. But we all saw Quad sitting with you all telling you that she wants to work it out and move forward just 2 to 3 episodes ago. And y'all chose to kick her off the trip not even 24 hours after she got there. So what the F are you talking about, Jackie? If you want the friendship to work, own it. Don't even try to act like you and Quad were besties. She gets on my nerves. So Letitia is piping up to add to the conversation. Letitia, shut up, girl, because this don't got nothing to do with you. You were a fan of Quad. We all saw how your eyes lit up when she walked into your bachelorette party, into your pamper party. Anyway, Letitia is discussing her fertility issues with the women, and we're getting flashbacks of her telling her story about how she scammed her way into Gregory's heart and onto the show by promising him a baby. She's 32 years old, and I just find it hard to believe that this is the first time she's learning that she's having fertility issues. If you have heavy periods, they just don't start out of nowhere. So she had to have known this for a very long time at this point, but we're going to circle back to that. We have a scene where Alora and Heavenly have a conversation, and Alora convinced her mom to repair the relationship between her and her sister. We learned that Heavenly's mom used to pit them against each other, and I remember Heavenly telling this story before about part of the reason why she didn't get along with her sister, and that the mom kind of used to pit them against each other. And I think it's really raggedy and sad, but it's my sincere hope and prayer that Heavenly and her sister are able to work it out. But shout out to Alora for, just being really mature in the situation and letting her mom know, like, you're 52, you still have time to repair this. The last scene, we have Letitia the scammer sitting down with the doctor to discuss endometriosis. And again, I have a hard time believing that this is the first that she's learning about this, right? Now, I'm going to speak from personal experience. When I started to see the GYN when I was around 15 or 16 years old, I was letting them know like I had heavy periods, and I learned early on about endometriosis. I also learned that my heavy periods were part of the reason why I had severe anemia. We also discussed the fact that I have a tilted uterus. This is something that is very common and very prevalent among women. It's not a rare occurrence at all to learn that you have a tilted uterus. So you're 32 years old. You go and you visit the GYN, every year or so, and you discuss these things. You discuss that you have a heavy period. You discuss that sometimes it is painful for you during sex, or, when you have certain positions during sex, you feel a little bit more pain. So you're going to sit up on my TV and squeeze out some tears and pretend that this is the first that you are learning about this. Now, the doctor said that you have a 50-50 chance of getting pregnant, so 50% is still a pretty huge number. It's not the end of the world. I was still happy to see Gregory being supportive, but girl, you slid into this man's DMs telling him I could give you what you want with a baby emoji. You use your womb as a means to hook you a fish so you could get access to the money, knowing all the while that it was possible that you may be having fertility issues. Now, I've been seeing a lot of skirmish online between Heavenly and Letitia. They went on Phaedra's Live recently, and Letitia said something about Heavenly's mother is in hell, and Heavenly told Letitia that her dead mother has a better chance of having a baby in hell than Letitia does. I don't know why Letitia thought it was a good idea to go up against Heavenly, because Heavenly's mouth is crazy. You got to be ready for anything that Heavenly says. But something that Heavenly said that I peeped online that I didn't like, somebody said to Heavenly, this is Kamisha Lanice. They said, Heavenly, I ain't gonna lie. You got to whoop her ass like her mama should have now. # married to Med. Dr. Heavenly said, nah, child, I'll leave that to Dr. G. We're joking about domestic violence now, Heavenly. Now, a couple of weeks ago when you were speaking with Carlos King on y'all's recap show, When he brought up the domestic violence, you were saying that, oh, I don't know nothing about that. So now when it's convenient, you want to throw in, nah, I'll leave that to Dr. G, making light of domestic violence. So that means you do believe what Quad was saying. That means that you know it to be true. But just because you're upset with Quad, you're going to act like you don't know if it's true or not. Then you want to tell Letitia that Quad could still have Gregory if she wanted him. And my thing is like the way y'all treated Quad and the way y'all were nasty to her, don't turn around and try to use her as a pawn in your petty little argument. It's stupid and it's childish. Find another read. Find something else to say. I feel like you're smarter than that. But anyway, you all, that was the episode. Go ahead and hit the like button for me, and I will see y'all for the next one. Peace.
I've been all in my phone, I got options, and I don't want to tell you to drop it.